Content warning. The following episode contains narratives that touch upon domestic abuse against spouses and children. While we pride ourselves on handling these matters with sympathy and delicacy, some listeners may find these moments distressing. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome, tabletop players. My name is Ruin Ortega, and tonight I'm your GM because we are playing Zweihander by Grim and Perilous Studios. Joined with me, as always, is my co-host, Cade.
Hi, I'm Cade. Zweihander is a dark and grim low fantasy adventure system, and we are having an absolute blast with it. Remember that as of this batch, our gameplay is now going to be split up into 4 sections, so you get to enjoy the adventure even longer, and hopefully you're excited as we are for episode 2.
Absolutely. We're about to get back to Harry, Zamere, and Emrys in a moment. But for now, let's talk to you about our coffee of the batch, which is Dark Cherry Bourbon by Fire Department Coffee. Cade, what did we rate that coffee?
Due to its very diverse flavor profile and customizability for the drinker, we ended up rating it a 4.25 Mysteriously Absent Wives. If you want all of our finer tasting notes, make sure that you listen to the intro of episode 1.
There you have it. Cade, this coffee is just terrific.
That is the weakest pun that you've had so far, Ruin.
Listen, punning on cherries has been exceptionally difficult. And with that, grab a mug, fill it full of the hot stuff, and sit back for the second part of our actual play of Zweihander by Grim and Perilous Studios.
Last time on Zweihander, our heroes left a wedding under the employment of a local lord. They were off to find some lost supplies, but things don't seem quite right. What will happen to our heroes? Will they find the supplies? Find out this time on Zweihander.
All right, and we are back in for our second episode of Zweihander. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. Yeah, I'm excited to kind of kick off the big adventure. I feel like we just finished up like the prologue and the setup, and I'm excited to see how it all pays off.
Yeah, hoping to get some axe hands going on.
Ready to actually use these fists, that they should be so worried about.
Excellent. What are you guys' thoughts on the system so far?
So far, I'm really liking it. It seems like there's a lot of rolling. Jane and I were talking about it during part of the last system, where it seems like as a player, you're always involved. It's not a lot of whole things happening to you, but you're constantly having to roll for stuff, which is cool. It's a little overwhelming, just as I'm constantly scrolling through the manual, which we have the PDF for, and just trying to find what things are there and all that. But it's really cool. I'm really liking the system so far.
Yeah, I'm finding it interesting. I don't want to say too much on it because we haven't gotten into, I think a lot of the real key aspects of it, but I think it's good so far. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, the depth is kind of insane. There's a mechanic for everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's one of the reasons why if there's a weird, awkward pause or if I'm stumbling, I'm often just trying to find what the mechanic is and how to do it. And, I was saying between episodes to Jaden that I'm so happy that most of the core mechanics in this system we're going to run more than one time, because I feel like the first time I do it, I'm like, oh, what is this? And then I hope by the second time we go to run it, I really know what I'm doing. All right, well, we last left with you guys on a carriage, and the carriage is in motion. You guys are headed to Vorburg, and with that, you each have to take on a role. We're getting into our first major mechanic off the hop for this episode, and this is the wilderness travel. Now, in this system, wilderness travel, it's an ancient world. It is perilous. And so you each should be taking a role. There are 3 major roles in wilderness travel. There is the scout, there is the guide, and there is the survivalist. And scout is based off of stealth, guide is based off of navigation, and survivalist is based off of survival. Each one of you is encouraged to take a role in this journey. You could take on more than one role, but it really is just important that one person is required for each role, whether that be that you take a combination of them or whatever. They all have to be filled. So I would encourage you to right now take a look at your stats for stealth, navigation, and survival, and see if there's one that stands out to you.
Well, I grew up in the forest and once spent 77 days in the wilderness without a shirt, so I think I'm good for the survivalist.
Perfect. I would prefer to be guide just because intelligence is my highest stat. I don't have a skill rank in any of them, but that one is my highest.
Well, let Harry tell ya, he's the stealthiest guy you have ever seen. Don't worry about what his actual abilities are. He promises with a very large wink that he is very stealthy.
If they can't see you, they'll smell you.
Excellent. Now, with this, there is... we're going to do a short stretch. And so I need you guys to do a couple of things here. The first one is that I need you to each roll your skill that you've just chosen.
One flying.
I'm really sorry about this, guys.
I failed hard.
I got a normal success.
Oh, man.
I failed by 49.
Oh, wait. I succeeded, and I guess it's a crit success. Does it matter what crit it is? Does that make a difference? Because I got a 33, and I needed to roll under a 35. I thought it was 30, but I have the ability to give me +5 to anything I don't have a rank in.
So
I don't have a rank in stealth, so...
Yeah, so that is a critical success then.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I failed real hard.
Excellent. Well, okay. Well, you know.
Well, we're lost, but
We're
not
lost,
gonna die.
but we're happy, and no one knows where we are.
Yeah. Harry told you he was stealthy. You should always trust him.
Well, luckily for you guys, with Zamere, our character that Cade is playing, he is going to encounter the first of what's called a fail-forward roll. A fail-forward roll is a cool little mechanic where it actually doesn't matter if you fail. You're still going to succeed at what you're doing, albeit with, some sort of weird detriment. And so what's going to happen is Zamere's going to stick his head out the carriage and he's going to start yelling at the coachman, being like, no, this direction. Don't you know the sun's in your eyes and you must look at the trees and the moss and what side it grows on. And don't you see that the ground is damp to the east? And the coachman is going to just kind of look at him and be like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. And because of this, Cade's character is going to think that they're lost, even though they're really not. And he is going to take a 1d10 plus 1 peril test.
So I got 6, which is still under my first peril threshold.
Excellent. So nothing really bad happens for you. But the coachman's trying to ignore you guys. Luckily, our survivalists and our... what is the term again? Scout, thank you. Have made sure to keep an eye out, and it doesn't appear like anything else bad is going to happen. However, as you near your midday travel, I am going to have you all make a toughness test for road weariness.
I also find it amazing how well I scouted, considering all I've been doing is just hitting on BB the entire time. It's crazy I've had the time to do both.
I failed by 4.
Yeah, me too.
Excellent. Well, with that, guys, you are going to have to take... it is a 1d10 plus 1 physical peril for road weariness. And if you succeeded, don't worry.
I failed as well.
I
1d10
went
plus
over.
1.
Oh,
Sorry, that was 1d10 plus 1 for...
Physical peril.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm over by a little bit, but still below the next rank.
All right.
Same.
Okay, well then you guys are going to go to the first level of peril, which is known as imperiled.
Yeah.
I succeeded. I had a 4, which is 3 under my first threshold.
You are so just smitten, at least on the surface, with BB, that you just don't even worry about it. You're like, whatever. This trek, it is what it is. Who has to even worry?
It's one of the best journeys I've had with such beautiful company. How could you be angry about it? Come on.
Excellent. There you go.
Doing card tricks, just having a great time.
Perfect. Well, you guys do manage to stop about midway, and Max says, excellent. We're going to have a break for some light luncheon. Everybody, get on out, stretch your legs, make sure you have a little bit to eat. And he mentions that there's some sandwiches at the back of the carriage, and, just wants you to kind of just take it easy for a little bit.
Perfect.
And the coachman starts to eat his lunch up on top, and you can tell he just wants to get the trip done with. Andre, however, finds a rock nearby and begins to just sit and kind of rub at his knees and calves.
Yeah, I guess Harry's gonna go up and talk to Andre. What do I want to talk to him about? I gotta kind of think about that for a second. I think I just want to go and ask him how he has enjoyed his work so far. Like, is he happy with his employment? Mm-hmm. Did they treat you well? Is it good pay?
Yeah. So he very easily starts talking with you. He is almost of the mind that if you're gonna be there together, you might as well talk. And he mentions, well, I've only worked for Maximilian for a short amount of time. I was hired at the beginning of the summer, and I kind of just make sure that the town is safe and that everybody's looked after. That's kind of my story. And he has shoulder length brown hair and a mustache and an earring, and he very much looks like a sellsword. Like, he is somebody who's paid to just be muscle.
Nice. Any more interesting employment before this?
Well, I was, in the wars before this, fighting for the Empire, and I don't know. When it all ended, I just felt like I needed to settle down somewhere, and it brought me to Vorburg. And I suppose there's not much to tell.
No, I respect it. I think some soldiers need to just, keep fighting for the rest of their lives, but why? You're bound to take an arrow at some point. Might as well at least make it worth it, have a place worth defending.
Well, absolutely. You hate to take one to the knee.
Yeah.
If I overhear that, I would have yelled back that it's better to die a death worth writing tales about than to die in bed of old age.
He's a little extreme. Don't worry about him. You can see, he just wears, a lot of things. I think he says he killed them all. I think he bought them, personally. I can't be sure.
That's fair.
They're well sewn, so he's either got a good seamstress or he purchases his items.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And, well, I guess that's all I really have to tell you about that. I guess, for your part, once we find the bride token, and you'll be headed back to Swansea, is that the plan?
As far as I've been told, that was generally the plan. I don't see any reason to defer from that too much.
That's fair. Well, if you are looking for work, Maximilian is hiring as of late. He's trying to build the town back up to supposedly a former glory. And he's hired lots of foreign workers. I'm sure he could find something for you to do.
That's interesting. And you've said you don't have any issues with him as an employer, so...
No, he's fair. He pays well for the work. bit of a wheeler and dealer, which I must say that I don't really care for, but when the work is right, how can you complain otherwise?
Gotta feed yourself.
Well,
Right, yeah.
I think I've best go relieve myself before we get headed back. And
Never a bad idea.
he does take off, and for the rest of you, you can see that Maximilian is sitting with Helena and speaking quietly, while BB kind of sits nearby and might look a little put out that she's not directly into the conversation, but they're sitting in the shade of the carriage.
I'm gonna be scouting around and looking for any random wild supplies, things like berries, herbs, deer, etc.
Sure.
Well, I mean-
Why don't you make me? Would that be a survival roll? Do you think?
I would think so.
Yeah. Why don't you do that?
Passed this time. I rolled a 9, actually. So that's
Yeah, that's really good.
it's only 20 above, so a hard success.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, you managed to forage some berries and things like that. You can tell that this part, without going too far into the woods, isn't really where you're going to find a lot of game or things like that. But yeah, some delicious red berries.
Cool. Make them into mead someday.
Excellent. And what about Zamere?
So Zamir's gonna just kind of go around the party and just kind of make sure that everybody is doing okay, doesn't have any, I guess injuries or anything, any kind of ailments that he might be able to help with. He's
the Yukon
predominantly a
Trail.
surgeon, but he does have some basic first aid. So anybody that splinters from the carriage or rolled ankle or any coughs or anything like that, just kind of general people upkeep, I guess.
Sure. Why don't you make me a scrutinize?
Sure. Just make sure I know which stat that is.
It's perception.
Is it? Okay. So I got a arduous success. I rolled a 6 out of
Perfect.
42.
Perfect. So you look around and you do see that BB appears to be kind of massaging the soles of her feet. And she is a few feet away from Helena and Maximilian. And so do you make your way over to her to try to see if anything's ailing her?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go over and see, if she's, stepped on anything that, might cause an infection, need to be bandaged up, or just sore feet in general. Just kind of check in, make sure she's all right.
Sure. So you plop yourself down next to her and you kind of inquire into her, and she replies, No, I've just got some sore feet from all the dancing last night, and once I get home, I'll be able to properly bathe and take care of myself. And she kind of looks at you, not quite smittenly, but with soft eyes, when you had previously maybe seen that she was looking rather displeased with the whole affair.
All right. Well, I'll just kind of make light conversation then. Just kind of, if she says she's not hurt, I'm not going to oh no, you're damaged. But, make some kind of light conversation. So what is your relation to the rest of our merry band of miscreants here?
Well, I mean, I was just Helena's friend, but now I've been hired on as her handmaiden, and, I'll ensure the proper birth of Maximilian's second son.
If you don't mind me saying so, you don't seem terribly excited by this.
Well, I mean, what can I say? I just think that Helena could have had someone closer to her age, and maybe perhaps with less of a temperament.
Maximilian is known for his temper, is he?
Well, let's just say that he puts on a polite face, but he can be quite callous when he chooses to be.
That is unfortunate and distressing to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully that with the birth of another son, he might relax a little bit.
One should hope. I know Helena's just happy that it should be a son, if it will be. That's what all the fortunes point to, at least.
Well, that's good. The fortunes are important. Science is important as well, but yeah. And I mean, like I said, you don't seem terribly happy in this position, but perhaps down the road you will be able to find a partner that will be able to, take you away into another type of life that'll be a little more appealing to you.
Perhaps. Thank you.
No problem. Well, I should probably go and make sure everyone else is all right, but like I said, I am a man of medicine, so should you need anything, or if those feet continue to bother you, please don't hesitate to come reach out.
Perfect. Is there anything else you guys are wanting to look into before the carriage starts to get back up again?
Harry wouldn't mind going and trying to suss out if Maximilian is, doing anything tricky here quickly, if possible.
Okay. So you can walk over to Maximilian, and how do you start out your conversation?
I think we'll just come in, nice and slow, just with a congratulations on the marriage. Thanks for the invite. I know it was just a courtesy, and we're kind of, just roped into this all together. But if you wanted to hit me up with a little bit of, relative kindness, is there anything funny going on here? Do I need to be worried about anything?
Why don't you give me some sort of fellowship roll, like a charm or disguise or something, or sorry, not disguise, a guile or something. Yeah, and I can let you have it at a +10 because you're family.
Ooh, deadly. I mean, it doesn't really matter which one I roll because I have none in any of them. So I feel like that's probably am I trying to charm them? I feel like that's kind of charm. I'm just hey, let me in on the inside scoop, man. Do I need to be worried about it here, or am I just dropping this stuff off on the way back to what's his name? So yeah, I'm gonna go with a charm there. Oh, deadly. Okay, so that's a 17 under what would have been a 66.
Perfect. So Max kind of laughs, and in this moment, you can almost tell that perhaps he's a little bit more worried than he's letting on, because he says, well, a brave face is one thing, I suppose, but, well, since you're family, I am worried about this whole affair. I mean, I really need this to succeed. Well, you know the story of my family. This is my time of restarting. I need this business to succeed, and if it doesn't, well, I'll go under permanently. I can't restart a second time at my age.
I understand that. I'm struggling just with my first time back around.
Well, perhaps you'll get there someday. Perhaps maybe stop sleeping around so much. That might help.
Well, that is what got me here in the first place. You're probably right. But what can you do? Yeah, well, I have no problem making sure this goes smoothly. I get it. You got struggles. I stand to gain from this. I don't mind the pay by any means. Seems fair for the work. So you, as far as you know, it was shipped out. There was no issues there, and you're just not sure what happened along the way.
This is the first that I know of it, and I promise, I have not tried to set this up for failure. Like I said, I need this for my livelihood just as much as he does. I'll tell you what. I'll make you a deal. If you return to Franz, and everything's good, and if you put in an especially good word for me, I'll make it worth your while. And he looks at your companions and says, you can split it however you want, but, I'll give you a bonus for putting in a good word and making sure that the transactions go through.
I have no problem with that, as long as, everything goes smoothly. I don't see any reason. We have no other major plans. We can easily detour around back to the city.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to your city, let me say.
Perfect. Yes. Well, let's say, Jaden, what's your fellowship bonus?
4.
Let's say that if Franz is happy with the return and how expediently it is handled, 4 gold crown bonus to you to ensure the business.
I appreciate that. That's always a shrewd way to make sure the business goes smoothly. Put some skin in the game for both of us.
Perfect. Exactly what I wanted. Now, I think with that, we should get going, shouldn't we?
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
And he begins to usher everybody back into the carriage. Now, he does look at Andre and say... he does look at Andre and say, well, remember, we need to do this quickly, so keep an eye out. And he heads back into the carriage himself. And now, Andre does look at you guys and he says, well, there's room for one more up here if anybody would like to join us.
Like sitting outside the carriage?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll sit outside the carriage.
Perfect.
Rather be out among the trees.
Perfect.
Quickly, just before we all get into our seats, I would just let them know, like, hey, I talked to, oh god, now I'm blanking on his name and I should know it. Maximilian, jeez. Yeah, I was talking to Max there. Good old Maxie. And he offered us a little bonus to make sure this goes smoothly. If we can have this happen fast, he'll give us an extra 3 gold coins. That's an extra, that's 1 apiece. And then we can split the 2 that the job pays us.
That's more than my shack costs.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's each of us almost more than doubling our take just for making sure this happens fast.
Yeah, that works for me.
Excellent.
Do I at all need to, like, guile that fact that I said that I got 3 gold instead of 4?
What's your... Yeah.
Apparently not, because I didn't catch on.
And I was like, I said 4. Didn't I say 4? Okay. All right. Well,
and this could go multiple ways. I could pocket the coin. I could say, hey, we got an extra bonus. And then I'm like, here you go, guys. I negotiated this for us and look good. I come out of this on the top no matter what.
I feel like we'd be so enthralled by that amount of money that we wouldn't even ask questions.
Yeah. And I'm going to say, from my judgment, they weren't there, so they have no idea what happened. So them hearing 3, I agree with Jody. They're just ecstatic for the money.
Awesome.
That's fair.
I also like how that played out. I appreciate everyone thinking about that logically. Yeah, no one would. That seems fair that you guys wouldn't question it. Like,
Yeah,
we're having a good time. I invited you guys to a wicked wedding. Come on.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, to us, that's such an astronomical amount of money that, like, if someone's like, I'm going to give you $12 million and you told us that you got $10 million, no one's going to be like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Should you even be mad, or is that just a finder's fee?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Quick question. How far along is Helena? Because I assume, like, I'd probably be able to tell.
She'd be able to be just showing. So, around that, 3-month mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, after lunch, the terrain quickly turns into rolling hills and the forests become thicker. It becomes late afternoon as you guys left a little bit later than you wanted to. But from what Andre keeps saying to Emrys, it's not much further. But all of a sudden, Jody, Emrys is going to need to make he's going to have to make a 1d10 plus 1 peril check.
Oh, okay. Passed.
Excellent. Up ahead, you notice a pretty disastrous wreck on the right-hand side. And Andre is going to tell the coachman to stop a little distance away from what you can see. And Andre immediately drops down and opens up the carriage door and pulls Maximilian out and begins whispering. And I'll need anybody who wants to listen to make an eavesdrop check.
I did not succeed.
I do not mind.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
I failed as well.
Well, none of the passengers inside here, but Jody, Emrys knows exactly what conversation is happening.
Oh, okay.
Up ahead, you see what appears to be a slaughter. It is a battlefield. There is 3 wagons with all of their horses butchered, and all around them lie the corpses of about a dozen people, peppered with short, black-fletched arrows. And you can tell from this far away that you probably won't find any survivors. However, you also know immediately that this is most likely the bride token. Now, Maximilian turns to Andre and you, Emrys, and says, "Listen, I need you to look ahead. I need you to scout it and find it. You can take your other men with you if you need, but the ladies cannot know about this. We can draw the curtains, and we can drive right on by once we're done. But I need you to just see if anything remains."
I give him a wink and I say, I thought there was never going to be any action, and I pull out my axes and jump off the wagon.
And Andre opens up the door gently and says, "Harry, Zamere, I need your help. There's a blockage in the road. We just need to clear it before, we can pass through it. A log, it appears, has fallen."
Sure thing. No problem.
Harry's gonna just ask, how big of a log?
I'm going to say big enough that we need some extra fingers. You know what I mean?
They need 5 of us.
All right, and as everyone approaches, I'm going to need you all to make resolve checks.
I actually don't have to, because I have the indifference trait, which says that when viewing blood-soaked and viscera scenes of death, I always succeed and don't suffer any corruption because of the fact that I'm a surgeon. I've seen this. So
Fantastic.
Wow. In some bad places.
Yeah, I messed up a lot in the early days. I've seen some stuff.
Piles of bodies, whatever.
I passed mine.
Yeah, I succeeded as well.
Excellent. Well, that means that you guys do not need to suffer from stress, which is good because I would have had to look up that, and this just saves us time. However, it is one of the common detriments that your character could come across, such as intoxication. One would be stress, and it most likely just deals with peril and adding to mental anguish to your peril track. But certain ones have worse damages against your peril track. Like one regular one might be a 1d10 plus 1. But sometimes with these maladies, they'll just actually be a straight up like, oh, you failed one time, 3d10 plus 3. Some are obviously worse than others. However, as you guys walk up, I am going to have you guys do some checks for investigation. But first of all, what everybody can see upon investigating is that the arrows are crudely made with viciously barbed iron heads. Most of the people have been shot to death. They have only partly stripped the weapons and armor, while money and valuables have been largely left behind. There are no other corpses than those of the guards. Andre looks around and says these are all guards he employed to bring the bride token to Swansea. Furthermore, he says that, very, very curious, Heinrich Truman should have been with this. His body isn't here. I don't understand. Like, he's our local bailiff in Vorburg, and he was supposed to lead this travel.
How much does he get paid?
Well, I don't know. That would be between him and Maximilian.
Maybe not enough.
The wagons themselves are still laden with the bales of hemp. There's been no attempt to steal the goods.
So
Go ahead.
they just took their weapons?
It would appear so. And lastly, until you investigate more thoroughly, Andre states that the convoy should have set out early to make it to Swansea in time for the wedding. It's very strange that they were stopped so close to Vorburg. They would have taken place in broad daylight.
I ask what he knows about any bandits or highwaymen in the area.
Well, there's been nothing of late. Something like this hasn't been seen in many years, and long before I lived here.
Can I take a look around and see if there's any signs of so like we said that there was Henrik said that his body is missing. Can I see if there's any signs of potentially him being dragged away or anything like that, or if there's just nothing and it's more likely he left on his own accord?
Sure. You could either make a warfare test or a survival test.
Okay, because under perception, so one of my focuses is discern details. So I'm not sure if that would apply for this in some way. And if so, what kind of role that would be. Because I also forget how focuses work, I won't lie.
One sec. Okay, so with the focuses, it is a mechanic where if you were suffering from any peril track, penalties, you would be able to ignore them. Cade, your character is not experiencing any peril track just yet, are you?
No.
Okay, so there won't be any sort of bonus given there. There is something called skill synergy, though. And the way the skill synergy works is if you had more than one skill that you thought you could use at this time, you could choose whatever your best one is, and then add a plus 10 because you have another skill that could be equally as useful here. So with this, if you had, say, survival and warfare, or if you had scrutinize and something that you could add on top of whatever roll you're making now, you could add an extra plus 10.
Yeah, I've got nothing relevant, so.
Okay, do you have awareness and scrutinize?
I have just awareness. I don't have scrutinize.
Okay. Well, in that case, why don't you roll me an awareness and see what you could find?
I failed hard, so.
Okay, so you know yourself, you're a doctor, but warfare was an entirely different part of it. You may have helped heal people, but you weren't there for the real battles and things like that, and so you're kind of just looking around and trying to just make sense of it all. And in that case, let's go to some of our other characters.
Now go ahead, Jaden.
Oh, I was just gonna say, have we even looked to see if the whatchamacallit is still there? The bride payment. What's it called?
The himp. It's all still
the
there.
bride
Yeah,
token?
they said that.
Yeah,
it's all still there.
Okay,
Yeah.
the bride token is still there. I just heard that the money was still there. I thought that implying the coin purses of the guys were still there, not the actual token.
Now, Jody, Emrys, he has a military career in his past?
No. Was a beast slayer in the wildlands. So
Okay.
he has combat experience, but it's against wolves and bears and
Does he have handle
creatures? A little bit, yeah, 1 rank.
Why don't you give me a roll in that?
Okay. Solid pass. Hard pass. No, challenging pass, sorry.
Okay. Well, you noticed that the horses were hobbled by gin traps that were laid in the pile of leaves on the road. You also noticed that the arrows themselves, they're a bit of a crude build. And why don't you give me a standard scrutinize test?
Failed on that one.
Okay. You notice that they aren't well built, but you're not quite sure what could have built them.
Okay. Do I see any like remnants of like tracks or anything near where the traps were set to indicate where the people would have been hiding or going?
Why don't you give me a survival test? And it can be plus 10.
Well, in that case, it's a pass.
Okay. Well, you see that the attackers appear to have come from the woods, roughly from the direction of the village, and returned the same way. You're not, like, they're long gone, but, you can tell that the tracks seem to lead that way.
Okay. Well, I'll relay that to everybody else.
And Andre kind of shouts back, "Remember, we protect the carriage first." Jaden, what's Harry doing?
Damn, I don't really know what he'd be doing at this point. We know they're kind of away. Not much else.
We kind of
I don't know.
need to...
I guess I would be like probably taking the. No, that's a little aggressive. I don't want to touch any of the money. I was gonna say I'd probably take that over to buy like the cart so that we could just at least go and defend our two most key things instead of being here and leaving the cart more or less undefended. There's not a lot of gain to be standing here if we can't figure out anything else.
All we needed to do was get the bridal gift back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's gonna want to. He's gonna need to know that his guards all got killed, but he said we'd get a bonus if we did this fast.
Yeah, I'm
one of those. You want good news or bad news first situations.
Yeah, I think we should haul this stuff back, and we should talk to Maximilian, see what he thinks about what's going on, and we can make a more deliberate plan of attack. I don't think we know enough right now to go anywhere, and who knows, if he just wants to keep rolling, then what's even the point of figuring out what's going on?
Yeah, and if he wants us to go and deal with these raiders in whatever way, maybe we can push for a little more gold, because clearly the stakes just went up.
I dig your shrewd business acumen.
Look, man, bandages aren't cheap.
That's fair.
As you're standing around trying to assess the situation, Jody, Emrys feels a rumbling underneath one of the horses next to him, and out all of a sudden pops a clawed hand kind of reaching at you, and you hear a "Wah, wah." And
shit, it's a zombie apocalypse game now.
and we are going to initiate some combat now. Because you're right there, Emrys is going to have a surprise round on this. We do have an initiative order that we set in the last episode. And so our initiative will be Harry, followed by Emrys, followed by Zamere. However, because of the positioning of Emrys this turn, he is going to get a surprise round, whereas everybody else will not. So Emrys, you can tell that this thing is hostile and it is coming for you.
Is it trapped underneath the dead horse, or?
Yes, but not to the extent that it will stay there. It is kind of pulling itself out.
And what is it? Can I tell?
You could make a quick check if you wanted to and sacrifice your surprise round.
I'd prefer to just strike.
Okay. Well, then you can roll your combat and you can add 1d6 bonus to it. So you'll be able to roll 2d6 for your damage.
Okay. I succeeded on the combat check.
Perfect.
And then, so 2d6 fury dice plus the 7 damage.
Yes.
So 16 total.
Excellent. It is slain. It doesn't look like it was having too much health on it. We're going to explain what just happened there because it was very, very quick. Combat is actually pretty simple in terms of the structure of it. So it does have the combat value plus a skill roll, skill rank if you have it. So what Jody was able to do is he rolled his CB plus a die and added them together to see his success. And then damage itself is just a D6 plus his combat bonus. Is that correct, Jody?
Yes. Well, the damage is the Fury dice is the D6 part, which it says is added on to every melee weapon or ranged weapon attack. And like the damage itself was determined by your combat bonus.
Right, so that's kind of your
Like
base
the base
value.
damage. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, because it was a surprise round, and Jody had the drop on him, he was given an extra D6 Fury die. If he had rolled a 6 on either one of those, it has a mechanic that's called Explosion, and he is able to roll another D6 on top of that. And following that, if he keeps rolling D6s, he can keep rolling damage. It is a true explosion and just keeps going. However, this thing is dead, and it doesn't appear like anything else is going to attack.
What kind of a creature is it?
Could you make me some sort of roll to get any information on that?
Yes. What do you want?
I am thinking that
I just have my like trait, the Slayer's Path. After I've defeated a creature, I then get the Fury die bonus against their like type.
Oh, that's cool. Make me a folklore roll.
Success. Great success.
So you're not quite sure what this thing is. You haven't seen it again before, but it is not human. It looks human-esque, but you're not quite entirely sure. You think it might be what's known as a Bugin, but you're not really too sure.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what it is, but I've killed it now, so I know how to kill it again.
And Andre looks taken aback, and he says, "We don't have time for this. They didn't take it initially. I doubt they will now. Let's get back to the carriage, tell Max, and let's go." And with that, he ushers you all back in. Max whispers to Andre that they'll speak when they get to the town. And I'm out of coffee, so let's get a refill. Hey there, friends. It's Ruin, and I'm here with Cade.
Hi, I'm still Cade.
We're just here to say thanks for giving us a shot and listening. During our refill, we wanted to take a moment on top of that to say we've got some social media. You should check it out. Join us in some conversation. And while you're at it, maybe hit that subscribe button.
Yeah. If you'd like to take a little bit more time, we would really appreciate it if you could rate and review us on whatever your favorite podcasting platform is. It helps us immensely with the mystical algorithms created by the elder gods of social media, and it helps us push the show to more people.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun doing this, and we hope you are too. But we'd like it if more people could join us, so go ahead and do those things.
We also have an email address. You can shoot us an email at cantripsandcoffee@gmail.com if you want to maybe suggest your favorite coffee or your favorite tabletop system that we haven't tried out yet. We're always looking for more suggestions and would love to hear some from you.
You may have also noticed that we're running out of topics on our side table conversations, so maybe shoot us a question that we could talk about there. As an added bonus, you can also look forward to some contests that we have up and coming. Trust me, they're going to be worth just hitting that little subscribe button.
There's also some pretty cool collaborations that we're working on with some other content creators.
It's an exciting time here in the Natural 20, and we want to make it as exciting as we can for you as well. So with that, we're going to jump back into the show. All right, we are back and well caffeinated. So, as the carriage takes off and travels a little bit of a distance, you guys begin to see the front gates of the town of Vorburg. Curiously enough, they are shut, even in the day. While night is coming, you wouldn't expect to see them this way right now. As the carriage pulls up, Andre immediately jumps down, where he is met by a watchman. Would anybody like to eavesdrop?
Yes.
Jody, Emrys can have this with an easy, so a plus 20, because he's sitting on top at the front.
Okay, cool. I'll roll 2. Yeah, that plus 20 gives me a pass.
I I failed by 53.
This is why your boy sits outside.
So, Emrys, you hear as the following exchange happens. Andre looks at the watchman and says, "Why are the gates shut? What's happened? Do you know anything about the attack back there?" And the watchman says, "The attack we didn't see, but there's something more disturbing I'm not allowed to talk about. Just know that Maximilian must meet with his son. We have drawn the gates shut for our protection. It has been this way since earlier in the week when the attack was made. We haven't been told to go and get the recovery of the bride token for fear of endangering the rest of the town. But we will reopen for you, and I trust that you have Maximilian with you." And Andre says, "Yes, of course. He's come back because he's worried about, well, I imagine you can tell what he's worried about." And the watchman says, "Well, go on in, and may I suggest that you begin trying to set a proper guard and proper watch for the whole town." And Andre says, "Leave it to me, I will." And hops back up where he has the coachman take the carriage directly to the largest house in the town. And you guys, as you're going through, you don't encounter very many people in the square or anything. It is a very small settlement. There isn't much going on. If you look around, you can see that there appears to be a long, almost like bunkhouse. There is a church. There is the large house that you've drawn up to. There is an inn called the Cowardly Orcs. And there is then just various housing that are pretty nondescript. As the carriage pulls up, Maximilian kind of flies out of the carriage, should we say, and grabs for BB and Helena and says, "Well, we should get you inside and well rested. I'm sure with the baby, you need extra rest. Yes, let's go. And he kind of hurries them inside without stopping. But as soon as he's inside and the door is shut, it actually reopens, and out walks a younger man, and he approaches Andre right away. And you can see that Andre almost, with a little bit of spring in his step, goes quickly towards this man. And he probably doesn't look any more than 25, but they have a very quick conversation. Can I have you guys make, let's say, an awareness check?
Ooh, fail.
I got a challenging success.
Good, I failed.
Perfect. Cade, you notice that as Andre is talking to this person, he is very close, pressed, close together, with very little space between them. And he has a hand on the shoulder, and they're speaking very, very intimately. And with that, Andre kind of pats the shoulder and the back and then hurries off into the house after Maximilian. And this new person approaches you and says, "Hi, my name's Waldman. I see that you've already met the town security, Andre, and of course you know my father, Maximilian. I'm told that you're his new workers. Are you here to stay long?"
Truth be told, we're not too sure. We were hired to see about the bridal token, and I mean, we found it, not under the circumstances that we were expecting. Since then, the priority has just been making sure that everyone got here safe. We're not really sure what Maximilian's plans are for us moving forward, whether or not our role has changed any, or if we'll just be purely recovery from the accident.
I see. Well, my father very quickly said that I'm to put you to work. He mentioned something about a bonus. I'll be honest, it was very quick. He seemed to be rather distressed, and I can understand why. But I will need your help right away if you'll come with me. And he kind of, without even waiting, starts to walk in towards the west. Or sorry, the east. The east gates.
I assume we follow.
Yeah, let's roll.
Yeah.
Okay. So, he leads you out through the east gates, and as soon as you're out there, I need everybody to make a resolve test. Standard.
Pass by the skin of my teeth. That's an exact match.
I super passed.
Yeah, I mid-passed.
Perfect. As you each go through the gates, you see a startling sight before you. There are 2 scarecrows out in the field, and on them are the bodies of an older man and a young boy. And Waldman stops and says, "I'm sorry that you could not see a better sight upon your arrival to our town. I assure you it's not always so bleak, but this is how we found them. We assume it happened after the attack. We need to get the bodies down and pull them into the town."
And I suppose you're expecting us to do this.
Well, I would like it to be done delicately, and since there are 4 of us, of course I will help you.
Who were they?
Well, the man is named Heinrich. He was the town's bailiff. And the boy, and with this, can I get let's go with a scrutinize.
No, I extremely failed.
Okay.
Got a 93.
I got a normal success.
Okay. So, Emrys notices almost like a more painful expression on Waldman's face when he looks at Dieter versus a more hardened expression when he looked at Heinrich. And he says, "The boy is Dieter. He was Heinrich's son. I can't imagine what his mother must be going through right now." And
how old does the boy look? Sorry.
he's 9.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then I ask, so Heinrich was supposed to be, with the package coming down. Was Dieter along for the ride, or was he home, or how did they end up here?
Heinrich often brought his son. He claimed it would harden him, turn him into a man. And do we have any idea who did this or what did this? Let me see. Well, it was the mutants. I mean, sorry, my apologies. I believe they were bandits. Yeah, bandits.
Damn X-Men. And copyright strike.
And Emrys, with your previous success, you notice that was a definite slip up. Like, he looks like he's quite sorry to have messed up like that.
And I'd asked Andre about bandits earlier, and he said that they didn't have bandits around these parts. So I'd kind of like to press him on that a little bit.
Sure. What kind of check would you like to make about that?
Something like interrogation, I guess. That's
okay.
Probably the best one.
Yeah, I like that. And tell you what.
Say to him that I asked Andre about bandits here, and he said that you didn't really have trouble with them around these parts. So I'd like to ask you a second time if you know what did this.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you make an interrogation roll, and I'll give you it as a routine because you mentioned Andre.
Yeah. Well, I failed it anyway. Rolled 58.
Okay. He looks at you and says, "Well, Andre hasn't lived here long. He probably just hasn't heard the stories. But let's get these down. You'll have to take the bodies to the church.
Let's do it.
The Mother Enid is there praying. And so
Sure.
you guys grab the bodies, and you manage to just very delicately take them into the church. And when you set them inside, Waldman looks at you and says, "If you'll excuse me, I must go see what my father is up to. He'll want to meet and speak with Andre and myself. I know that he will want to tell you what to do, give you some sort of direction, but please, you must give us time. If it should be required, I will set up I have already set up some lodging at the Cowardly Orcs. If you'll need it, you'll need to at least sleep over the night so that you can make the trek back in the morning. But I would suggest that perhaps you get acquainted with the town. I don't want to say that you'll be here for a while, but you may not want to rule it out, and knowing some friendly faces may help pass the time." And he leaves you. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, well, that's very kind of you for setting up lodging for us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. If you need anything else, I will be at my father's house. Obviously, you can tell which one is the Steiger residence. And he leaves you, and you're standing inside the church. And you notice that there are a couple of people in there. There is a woman who appears to be praying over the bodies and crying. And you do notice what appears to be a preacher or pastor standing off to the side with his head bowed.
Then Harry's gonna walk up to the priest and just kind of ask, like, do you oversee a lot of these kinds of ceremonies? Is this common around these parts?
And the man first looks at you and says, "I'm sorry, I'm not sure who you are, but my name is Pastor Wilhelm. Who are you three, and what brings you here?"
I am Harry, and these are my two compatriots, Zamere, and oh my god, I didn't write your name down again. I know it starts with an E. Holy crap, I am terrible. Oh, what is it again?
His name is Emrys. Emrys. And I
Good.
know
There we
that
go.
because he has named
Emrys.
so many of his video game characters that.
That's the truth.
It's a good
You
solid
only
name.
need one.
Mm-hmm.
Jody, where's that come from?
It's like the Welsh translation of like Merlin's first name, I believe.
Sweet.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dig it.
Well, upon your introduction, Pastor Wilhelm looks at you and says, "Happen often? I don't know." And he kind of gets this like far off, pained expression in his face. And he sighs and looks like he doesn't want to tell you, but is willing to. And 12 years ago, there was an attack that looks quite similar to this one. They'll tell you it was bandits. I know it was not bandits. The mutants came, and Maximilian sent the women into hiding. We needed someone fast to get to Swansea to fetch help, and I volunteered. Thought I'd be a hero. And at this point, you can see his eyes start to well up with tears. I slipped out and managed to avoid the mutant guards and reached Swansea. But I still failed. I didn't know how many mutants there were, and I wasn't able to persuade the authorities to put together a troop. I was just a kid, not a politician. Eventually, a commander saw that I was a preacher of the God Emperor and recognized a brother in faith. I remember riding out in front, guiding this army, and thinking I'd be a big hero, but I wasn't. I was a fool. And he with that final expression of "I was a fool," he looks very resolved by that. Like, that is his stance of almost this bleakness of his own character.
It's a hard world, you know. We all want to be heroes, but rarely ever have the opportunity to.
At least you fought well.
Better to have tried than to have hidden like the rest?
Some may say. But this is the God Emperor's will. We failed him then, and he is punishing us for our failure. This is the day that has come.
While that's going on, I'll go over to the wife and just, offer my condolences.
And between sobs, she's... Yes, thank you. Thank you. And can you make me an awareness check?
Yep. Regular success.
Perfect.
Just a standard.
Yeah, you notice that she is probably around the same age as Helena. And again, her husband, although a corpse, was much older.
Yeah. So I'll just kind of, I am a man of medicine, and if it is of any condolence, judging by what happened and their injuries, they died quickly.
And she looks at you and says, "Doesn't matter. My little Dieter is dead. And it's all my no-account husband's fault. I told him he was too young to go, but Heinrich wanted to make a man of him. A man? Don't make me laugh. Real men keep their wives safe. They don't go around beating everyone they want to control. And who's too weak to resist? Dieter was always looking out for his mama."
It sounds like he was a good man in his own right already. Make sure you hold those memories dear.
And she kind of just nods along. If you guys would wish to ask more questions of them, you surely can.
I just want to, pry for any information on the mutants. Like, you clearly have had first-hand experience with them to some amount, and I fear that we may have a run-in with them, even if it's just, however this goes with the city, so I wouldn't mind knowing what I might be facing at some point.
Well, I don't know what to say other than they're mutants. They're ruthless, they're crude, and they will take what they want. But if you're looking for how to fight back, I assure you of two things. The first is that Maximilian is a coward. He will not fight.
Yes,
He's
we've
weak.
noticed this.
Like most ambitious men, he has a lot to lose, and that makes him the most cowardice. The second thing I can tell you is he will, of course, pay for anything to be solved. And he kind of turns his head and he looks at the corpse, and he says, "Heinrich was my brother. Not a good brother, or a good husband or father for that matter, but he was my brother nonetheless. I pray that his soul has found the rest it never had in life."
That's the hope we can have for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to ask if there is some kind of a chief scout or a hunter or trapper or something like that around here that might have some actual information on where these things have come from.
Mm-hmm. So he looks at you and thinks for a second. And he says, "You may be able to find just general information, not the cowardly orcs. I mean, all sorts of people will go in there. The laborers' quarters, again, general information, but nobody's been here long enough to really know too much. Your best bet would be to speak with Andre."
Yes, I kind of thought he might be able to illuminate the situation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, if you have no other use of me, I must retire and make ready for closing of the church. And seeing that you guys offer no other queries, he turns and walks just around, just casually, closing up the benches, closing Bibles, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, did Zamere want to question Enid any further?
The metagamer in me wants to, but I feel like Zamere wouldn't. She's grieving, and he'd probably just want to let her have her time, not intrude.
Excellent. Well, with that, you guys should probably maybe go find some more people to talk to or spend some time, until you're called upon.
Where's our lodging at?
The Cowardly
The
Orcs.
Cowardly Orcs.
Okay, so we gotta go there at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I always like a good tavern. Is there anything particular anyone else wants to check out?
I want to talk to Andre at some point about like the actual information on these things, because he has to know.
I mean,
But I don't know. It's like probably nighttime right now. I also want to check out the murder scene again, or like where they were hung on the scarecrows.
If you guys were wanting to check out the scarecrows, you'd probably best do it soon, as it is getting close to the gates closing for the night, and you won't be let out. Just like any standard town city protocol.
Yeah, we can go check
Yeah.
those out, and then like I said, it might be too late to check in with Andre tonight, but we can at least have a little bit more ammo to confront him with tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you could, you go back to the scarecrow things, and you can see the ropes are very crude ropes. Yeah, I think beyond that, I would need some sort of scrutinize or warfare or something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking just to look around and see like where the like where they came to these from, like were they dragged from the town, and then like is there any tracks leading back out in a way that's like somehow pointing in a direction as to where they might have come from?
Sure. Let's say that could be, I would say, either a survival or a navigation.
Okay. Would pass a survival check.
Okay, let's go with that then. Yeah, you can tell by looking around that there are some tracks that go around from the east side to the west side, as if they skirted around the town to bring them here. You had previously heard that Heinrich was supposed to be in charge of the bride token, so that would suggest that they came from the scene of the accident right to here.
Okay, gotcha. Ooh, so this is like a intimidation display, like on an extra level. Okay, well that's all I wanted to check out here. I mean, I guess on the rope, I want to take some of the rope, and just see if there's any like, I don't know, other like things that they would have dropped, whatever carried them here. It's probably already been combed over, but worth a check. At the very least, I'm going to take the rope.
Yeah, there would be some of the arrows that had been previously seen, just kind of lying there from when you took the body down.
Okay, well then I'll just want to snap a head up one of the arrows and keep that in the rope.
Sure. Yeah, you can absolutely do that.
Okay, cool.
Okay. And are you guys headed back into the town?
Yeah, I'd say so.
All right. Well, would you like to go to the Cowardly Orcs, or would you like to go to the laborers' quarters?
I think I'd like to check out the tavern.
Wow, I was gonna suggest that, go see the sleep guys before they go to bed.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
Tavern will be there later, likely.
All right, lead the way.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
So you guys head on over to the laborers' quarters, and I just have to go there in my book. There we go. So, when you go in, you can see that it's a very flimsy structure. It's been erected as dormitories for all the foreign laborers. They're set up against the side of the palisade, away from the center of the village. When not working or on duty, you can see that the laborers are here to while the time away, drinking, gambling, some small tables all over the place. The surrounding palisade is a standard wooden affair, poorly maintained, you can tell right away. Most parts of the walkway along the inside, or most parts have a walkway along the inside, and there are breaks in it, so it would mean that it would be impossible to walk along the entire thing. But of course, there's ladders to clamber up and down to the different sections. Yeah, when you go in, you can see that there are a couple of guys, standing around or playing cards and things like that, and so you can feel free to ask about.
Harry's gonna go up to the guys that are playing cards, and he's just gonna see if he can't, get himself in on a little bit of the game. Potentially, just watch at the beginning, just see what's going on. Get a feel for the area.
Sure. Yeah, it seems to be a pretty standard game of is it Hearts? Yeah, Hearts. So you're playing with one deck and kind of just throwing stuff in and seeing what comes out.
Fair enough. Yeah. I don't know what I really want to go for with it.
The one
What
guy.
did we come here looking for, really?
Well, this is where our room and board, or no, sorry,
that
we're
was
at
the tavern.
Yeah.
Wasn't Emrys looking for a trapper or a local hunter?
Yeah, we pretty much got recommended Andre though. I do have one question I'd like to ask the laborers.
Sure.
I'd like to find somebody to ask whether there's a certain side of the city that they do extra work on fortifying, or that they're particularly worried about.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of talk to the guy who's nearest to the entrance, just because it's convenient, and he says, "Yeah, I've been here a while. I don't really know. It seems like this whole town has just been built really quickly. It's been here for a while, but it's almost like they're just all of a sudden doing renovations. Not for any particular danger. The fact that this all happened, with those bandits, just really seems kind of out of the blue. So it's not like I'm worried. To be honest, the town isn't really greatly prepared for any sort of attacks. It's not like they were expecting it. So, I mean, it's got kind of crappy protection all the way around."
Yeah, it seems to be the case. If these things could just get in and out without people noticing until it was too late.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I just wonder, are we even all safe here, or what?
Alright, well, that's all I wanted to know.
Okay. These guys would have very general knowledge about the town and the people in it if you guys want to ask anything more. Otherwise, I don't know if you're going to get anything super specific, but they might know a couple things.
I'm just gonna go up to the guys that are playing cards, and I'll say, one hand, if I come out on top, you just let me know who has the best connections in this place with the just around town kind of thing. Whoever's the most influential around here.
Okay. So they deal you in, and why don't you? Is there a skill for that?
There is gamble.
Oh, well, why don't you make me a gamble?
Yeah, I can do that.
And you have a background in gambling. So why don't you make it added?
That's a polite way to put it.
Well, I'm just thinking these are your common, should we say, lowborn gamblers and workers. So why don't you make it at an easy, so a plus 20? Okay,
sounds good to me. I do not mind that. Oh, well, that was really easy. I got a 22, and it would have been a 70.
Excellent.
2 or 71.
So the guy that you're talking to starts to go through kind of the list of people. Well, I mean, obviously the head guy is Maximilian. The boss guy. He's influential, of course. He pays everybody, and I'll tell you, he pays fairly well for what we're doing. He's not bad. He seems to want a job done. Then, of course, there'd be, well, it would have been Heinrich, but what can I say? Good riddance to that guy. And the guys around the table kind of look a little lit oh gosh, really? And,
too soon.
Yeah. And the guy that you're talking to is like, oh, don't act like you're all so upset all of a sudden. Who cares about speaking ill of the dead? Listen, all I'm saying is we're workers, not slaves. And you know what? The way he treated his boy was not much better. I will say, it's a shame about the boy, okay? If there's anything to be sorry about, it's that guy. Now, after that, nobody else is really that influential. I guess the next guy who's been here the longest would probably be, well, Heinrich's brother, Pastor Wilhelm. I don't know. He's a harmless drunk, really. Fun to share a pint with, until he gets bitter and depressed, which is most of the time, and starts crying. But, he seems to have sobered up today, though, so I guess the moment not too soon.
Okay. Well, I was hoping that someone would have a little bit more to say about the town, but I get it. You're all new here. Nothing, nothing lost, I guess. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Jody, Emrys, as he's kind of still standing with that one guy, he turns and says, if you're worried about a fight, we can fight on the palisade if it comes to it. It's the safest option, but there's no way we're sticking our necks out for a stranger, Like, no matter how fairly he's treated us.
Yeah, I can understand this. Gotta keep it close. Only trust people that trust you.
Jaden, were you wanting to do any other conversation with the guy?
No, I don't feel like there's probably a ton more for me to gain if he doesn't seem to, want to... I was just thinking there might be someone a little bit more connected in this, guild hallish kind of space, but they're all just new workers. What can I do?
Mm-hmm. The one of the other guys who's playing cards is like, listen, if you're looking for information, we're not going to have it. There's going to be a few guys around here, but I don't believe half of what they talked about, Like, if they're so heroic, how come their women got snatched, huh? If you had a chance to marry over again, though, I guess like they are, wouldn't you pick a nice little thing like they're doing?
I heard their wife got hidden away.
Listen, we don't know too much, and this is the guy who was speaking ill of Heinrich speaks up, and he's like, we haven't been around long enough, but rumors is that, yeah, their former wives got hidden away in the hills, and, well, they didn't come back. But 12 years later, Maximilian, Heinrich, even Harvst at the Cowardly Orcs, they all got pretty new young things.
How recently?
Well, Max was obviously just today. And, well, Heinrich, let's see. Heinrich was a little bit further in the back. Probably about 8.5, 9 years ago. And, I think Harvst as well. Harvst is about 10 years, I'd say.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to really gain from there, not too much pattern. And there's no one else in town that long. As far as you know, has anyone in the town been here for longer than, say, like 15 or 20 years?
Like who we talking? Men?
Just anyone that's lived here for, like the majority of their lives that are over the age of 50.
Well, I guess the only person I could think of other than those men would be Waldman. I mean, he's 25 years old. He's lived here the whole time. And then...
Be too young.
Well, there'd be Maximilian's sister, Betty. Yeah, she's got to be almost 60 years old.
And as far as you know, she's lived in town for longer than the son, at least?
I mean, it's Max's sister, and Max has always lived here, so I can imagine that she has too.
I wasn't sure if he had been a part of the town or if he had, achieved his mayorship at some, other form of way.
No, I believe it's by birth. His family set up this settlement.
Okay. You think I'd know that I'm his cousin and all, but yeah. I don't pay that much attention to him, honestly, tell you the truth. He's a little big in his britches for me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I hear you.
But he pays well, like you're all saying, so... yeah. I think that's it. I appreciate all your guys' help, and I appreciate the candor.
No, for sure. I guess maybe we'll see you on the work line, huh?
Maybe. How many guys are sitting there playing cards?
There was 3. You were the 4th.
3? I'm assuming they're buying drinks at this place. They're not just getting them given to them for free.
No,
it's their dorms.
Yeah, at this place they're drinking whatever they have. little bit of rot gut and stuff like that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna throw them a couple of bronze pieces for their time. I appreciate the help.
And they kind of lift them up acknowledgingly and say, "Don't worry, maybe you'll get them back when we go to the Cowardly Orcs later. Who knows?"
Who knows? And I'll snap a deck of cards out of nowhere and then snap it back away.
Nice.
Blow some people's mind away with some, hand magic.
They kind of look admirably at you, and kind of wave you off.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm just gonna, see where my crew is and head back to wherever they are.
Perfect. Oh. Perfect. All right. Well, with that, are you guys off to the Cowardly Orcs?
Yeah.
Yes. Definitely.
Well done.
Excellent.
Let's roll. We could use a drink.
It is beginning to get late at night. You guys can hear the gates shutting. However, when you go in, it's actually, not quite hopping, but it is fairly busy for, considering it's just nighttime now. You can see the barman and what appears to be perhaps the wife, considering it looks like this is where they would also live, behind the bar, kind of helping people out. And then other than that, there is just, I guess, your average crowd of laborers who would be here instead of the quarters.
I'm going to go up to the barkeep and I'm going to slap down. I mean, I don't know how hard you want to play by prices, but apparently a cup of ale is 3 brass pieces, so I'm going to slap down 9 and buy 3 drinks.
Excellent. Now, are you trying to drink them
Thank you.
To get intoxicated, to use the game terms here, or are you just trying to appease the barman?
I mean, the general point was that I was going to drink the 3, but I guess I could give it to my friends if they were assuming that I bought them drinks.
I forgot that you triple fist, so I just said thank you.
Okay, I'll slap down another 3 more, or another 6 more, and buy them each a drink.
Okay, so you're getting intoxicated.
Yes,
all right.
My goal is to get drunk.
Okay, well, we're going to say that they're not going to get drunk off of those unless they try.
No.
But, Jaden, let's say that Harry is going to have to make me an intoxication roll there. So go with a toughness test. I believe that's what we used, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that sucks because I have a rank in toughness, so it makes it even harder for me to get drunk. But I want to get drunk. That's the whole point of this.
Yeah, but that's
so
that's just it. Like, that's science. You've been drinking for so long that it just doesn't work as effectively.
That's a good point. I don't get to choose when I get drunk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
the liquor chooses you.
Yeah, he's gonna pull his fancy 3-cup drink where he pours the top cup into the next cup into the next cup, and then he drinks out of the bottom one until they're all gone. Oh, nice, and I did fail. 71.
Yeah, failure.
All right, one sec while I just double check what the roll for that is for your intoxication level.
I want to be a friendly drunk so I can chat people up.
I'm looking for hazards.
See Harry.
Yeah, the dictionary, there's just a picture of Harry.
Yes. Okay. Well, to be fair, that was gonna be pretty crappy. So there would have been a harder roll, but you already failed it, so it doesn't even matter. You are gonna have to add 3 to your damage threshold.
Nice.
So you're gonna be able to take a better hit because you're wasted. Mm-hmm. But you're also going to do 3d10 plus 3 physical peril, and I also need you to add 1 corruption.
Oh yeah, I keep getting these corruptions. I'm locking these in. That's my second one in this session, or in this second session. So 1 per session.
Yep.
Oh, recording. Cade, make note of that. That sounds stupid now.
355.
Good. You can totally leave it, but that was really dumb sounding.
Space-time continuum is broken.
Okay, so where am I on my threshold? 10. Oh god, I got 20. Oh man, I'm on the 3rd tier of it. I got 3.
Oh no.
That is not ideal. This was not a good idea to get this drunk just for plus 10 to charm for people that probably don't know anything.
And as a reminder, that doesn't wear off for 24 hours. You cannot regain peril for 24 hours. It's about 8 p.m., 7 p.m., somewhere in there. So, yeah. Good luck.
All of tomorrow.
Yeah, good
Let's
luck.
hope that they're going to take a little longer to figure things out. Because, yeah, I'm now ignoring 2 skill ranks.
Probably the entirety of the rest of this batch, you are going to be in peril.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, as you guys are drinking, some of you more heavily than others, the barman, Harvst, introduces himself, and he says that his wife is Liselot, and says, "What brings you to town?"
I kind of got drug here. You know, we were just, circumstance, weddings, murder, mysteries, and then you're here. What do you do about it? But we have some rooms here, we've been told.
You must be the ones
Harry.
that Waldman set up. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm Harry. This is Zamere and Emrys. I actually remember his name now. I'm drunk enough to remember it. That's how cyclical this is. But yeah, we're mostly here to hang out for the night and get some rest.
Perfect. Well, I'm sure the day will be hopping tomorrow, so celebrate tonight.
Well, I don't know about celebrating. It's a bit of a somber tone.
Yes. Yes, it was horrible what happened. Bandits probably trying to snatch what they can, scare us into giving up more. It won't work. We've survived worse. Much worse.
Yeah, bandits. That's I've heard a lot about that. If you don't mind me asking, how long have you been in town?
All my whole life. Yes, my whole life.
And so you say bandits. Is this a common reoccurrence? Do these bandits come, every so often?
Yes. Well, I suppose 12 years ago we had a worse attack. Mutants came. We all thought we'd had it. I was a younger man then and wanted to fight it out, but Heinrich said that we had to hide the womenfolk first. I said it was too much of a risk, but Max agreed, and his first wife, Johanna, led them up to the old hill road. There's a cave there at the top of the Horned Monk. The road was overgrown and impossible to find, so he'd reckoned that the mutants would never find them there, and they'd survive even if we were overrun. Pastor Wilhelm went for help. We didn't know whether he got through, but we fought as long as we could. I killed 20 of them myself. Finally, Max had the idea of bluffing the Orcs' big boss about help coming. And what do you know, the old dog did it. The mutants ran for their very lives, and that's why my inn's named what it is, the Cowardly Orcs. Pastor Wilhelm got back the next day with some troops, and we all went to collect our women. Unfortunately, they were all gone. I was lucky. My dear old mom had already passed, and I wasn't yet married. But Max lost his wife and little baby daughter. Pastor Wilhelm never forgave himself.
It's a tragic event for the whole town to go through.
Yeah.
Indeed. It was the worst thing I think we've ever been through.
And even after that, they leave the walls so sparsely defended.
Well, I do believe that for the longest time, Max just didn't have the help, nor the industry. He wasn't always a hemp dealer. That came about afterwards. He'd had money, but nothing to really do or trade, and so, I feel like it's only about now that we've been able to fully recover.
You've never heard any, stories of any of these kind of things happening before? This 12 years event seems, specific.
Not that I can recall. Nothing in my lifetime, nor I would feel the ones before us. I'm sure my parents would have told me stuff, but no.
Well, that seems fair.
Of course, that was, That was before. There was a lot of chaos back 12 years ago with all the fighting out in the east, and we just seem to have hit a stroke of bad luck, I think.
That's fair. Do you know how long Vorburg has been around for?
I would say 4 generations prior.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Well, me personally, I don't know about my friends, but I know you have other patrons to handle. I appreciate the conversation. I will come by and grab some more drinks at some point.
Certainly. And you can see that Lieselot is, amongst the crowd, making sure they're all refreshed and getting what they need. But she does kind of pause every once in a while to just look around and examine.
Examine what? I don't know. Just
just like to look around at the patrons and things like that. Right? Making sure everybody is taken care of. And do you guys sit down? Do you go to your rooms? Like, what is it that you're wanting to do right now?
I mean, my guy's pretty drunk, so he's probably going to hang out for a little bit. Just kind of get a general feel for the room, be very, social, and just kind of meet whoever he can along the way.
Mm-hmm. I want to scope it out, sit on the back wall, and see if anyone looks out of place or shifty.
Okay. Do you want to do an awareness check?
Sure. Passed by 9.
Yeah, it seems like everybody seems to be relatively well off. You can see that any of the women that are in the town are fairly young, but any of the men are either a little bit older or look like they're the foreign workers and things like that. But upon seeing you guys sitting down and scoping things out, Lieselot does come over, and she says, "Well, hello again. Can I refresh your drinks?"
So
not
pricey.
for me, thank you.
Yeah,
I'll
no,
take
not
another
for
3.
me.
He'll throw the coins her way. He'll take another 3 for sure.
Okay. So
Take a leg of mutton, though.
Okay, yeah, I can get some food and things like that. And so she she goes off and she prepares everything. And before too long, she does come back and she stops things off. And she looks at you 3 and she says, "Hey, you don't look like the normal laborers that we get around here."
We're from out of town. We recruited by Maximilian. Max.
Oh.
Max.
Maximilian. Yes.
Maximilian.
He's a good man. He's a pretty good leader. Although, I will say that he couldn't do a thing without my Harvst. If he had listened to a bit more and not to that tyrant Heinrich, we might not be in this mess.
What do you mean?
About Heinrich? Oh, I don't know. I'll tell you one thing. My husband never beat a woman black and blue.
Yeah, we've heard from a few people that Heinrich had quite the temper.
Yeah. Well, listen, I know it's not right to speak of the ill, but he was a bastard to the core. His wife would be glad to rid of him if the old tyrant hadn't taken Dieter along. The boy was always a bit soft, but he didn't deserve a father like that, or what the bandits did to him.
We keep hearing people mentioning these bandits, but from what we've heard, there's not a lot of bandit activity in the area.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. She looks at you and kind of knows what you're getting at, and she gives kind of a similar story to what Harvst already did about the history of the town. She doesn't really seem to know a lot more than that. She is fairly new. You can tell she's young, just like the other women. I think you had previously heard from the laborers that she was younger as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, when did you and Harvst meet?
Well, I mean, at this point, it must be close to 10 years. Yeah, our son Klaus would be about that young. She points off, and there seems to be a young boy, although he looks maybe slightly larger in certain features than other children you would expect to be about 10 years old, and parts of his face are maybe a little bit disproportioned, and he seems to be playing with things on the ground. And she smiles and says, "Bless him."
Yes. Bless his little heart.
Kate, you're a surgeon.
I know.
Is this a Goonies situation?
I think this is a you are not the father kind of situation.
If only you had an occupation or profession that would be able to do things with medicine.
Yes, I get it. I'm just also saying that me as a player feels like they have pieced things together.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so it's not really heal. I'm trying to figure out, like, what kind of skill check that would be. To say, like, looking at this kid, like, clearly something ain't right with that kid. You know the kid.
Yeah.
We've all seen the kid. But
I would say that it could probably be an education, because it would be based on the professional knowledge you have.
Yeah, that works for me. So I exceeded challengingly.
Perfect. You get to know, or you get a good look at him, and you notice that it doesn't look like the corpse of the thing that you guys came across on the battlefield. The boy himself maybe looks touched, but not a mutant.
Not completely, at least. Cool. All right.
So this kid's like mutating?
No, he looks
he's
like
been attacked.
he looks like he would have special needs.
Oh, okay.
But does he look like he has mutant special needs?
I miss.
or
Yeah,
is just a
okay.
normal
I'm
one
wondering
with
now
special needs?
if I really piece things together or if I'm just an asshole.
You're
Like,
just
yeah,
an
how about-
asshole.
Oh, son of a bitch.
So it's just a Goonies situation.
Your professional opinion on his health is that you're just an asshole and he has special needs.
Oh. It's just like, what is it? Mask? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
But like more
All right.
more of like a mental deficiency as well.
Interesting.
Okay. With that, Lisa-Lot looks at you three and she says, "Harvst and Maximilian will sort everything out. Don't worry." And she kind of saunters off.
Oh, she's gonna die, poor thing.
And with that, all of a sudden the doors open up and Waldman walks very determinedly at you. And he says, "My friends, we cannot wait. We must speak with my father tonight. I know it's getting late, but this is serious." And he leads you out towards the Steiger house. And with that, we're going to call it quits for tonight because we're out of coffee once again.
All is not well in the village of Vorburg, but our heroes are on the case. Will they find the darkness of what's going on? What does Walden have in mind for them? Find out next time on Zweihander.